I was parched because it's hot out there. Us fluffy folk, bro, we do not handle it just changing on you like that, 40 degrees out of nowhere. I'm excited you are here. Can I get a chance to meet you? My name is Taylor. Can I get the privilege of being your student pastor here at Switch and at The Brick? And this is going to make sense in like 20 seconds. If you are new with us, you have found yourself in a series that we're wrapping up today. We've been calling it Environmental Hazards. Our word for the year is environment. So this whole semester, we've been having conversations about what are the things that are in the garden, in our environments that are robbing the call of God on our lives from us. And what are those hazards that we got to get out so we can have room to let the things God's called us to grow. And so last week we started part 1 of a series on unforgiveness. And it was heavy. I cried a lot. There was snot running down my face. And we cried together because like this beautiful group therapy moment. And we saw God do something incredible. And if you didn't make it last week, none of this makes like any sense to you. I'm going to make it sense for you real quick. So last week we talked about is that before we can ever have a conversation about how we forgive other people, we got to figure out how to deal with the baggage that we are carrying. In short, you have to go to Him before you go to them. Okay, you've got to come to Jesus with the baggage, the weights, the burdens, the pains, the scars, the hurts that you've been carrying around all life, acting like His armor. We got to lay that junk down at the feet of Jesus because He is the only person that can truly heal, truly save, truly redeem. So the whole sermon last week was about wrestling with how we got the baggage, how we get the baggage to Jesus. And so tonight is all about them. And what I want to let you know today is that you have to master this first. So what I want to be really clear on today is you cannot put a timetable on forgiveness. You just can't. Like it takes different margins, different times for all of us. Like for example, has anyone ever sprained their finger before? Some hands? Yeah. Like if I throw a football at you real hard right now and you catch it bad, it's going to hurt your finger. That's going to suck a whole lot. Probably like people are going to have a week or two or like just bending it's hard. Like just some things are going to be tough, right? If you go running across and you trip on this rug and you snap your femur, yeah, that's going to take a whole lot longer than 2 weeks to heal. Why? Because it's a totally different kind of hurt. Because it's a totally different kind of injury. And what I need you to understand today, because we all wrestle with unforgiveness, but some of us do it at different degrees. Some of our stories are different, man. Some of us have been through some stuff, been through some moments that hit us different than they do everybody else. And while I am imploring you that you got to get to the side of forgiveness, I also need you to give yourself some grace and give God some room to heal things that only He can. So some of you got to camp right here. And you got to keep bringing the baggage back to Jesus. Keep bringing the baggage back to Jesus. If you ain't heard the sermon, get on our YouTube, go watch last week's sermon. It is bringing it to Him. Eventually, though, you master this, and then you have margin for them. Today, we're going to process how do we actually forgive the people in our lives that have hurt us. Has anybody ever heard the phrase, do as I say, not as I do? Okay. It wasn't just my mama. I hate that phrase, like so much. In fact, like if we were to ask you what is like some of the worst words paired in history, it's that phrase. Why? Because you know, I know, our mamas know, our daddies knows, our grandma, everybody we be knowing, everybody knows it's not real. Boy, we say it like it is though, like so confident, like do as I say, not as I do. Like, what? I'm just paint a couple moments for you. Like, so for me as a kid, you know what my mama always tried to make me do? I hate it to this day. I'm a grown man, and I can't stand it. You can ask my wife, it's a bad time. I hate cleaning my room. Y'all don't see my room. Because nobody's in my room. Who would need to be cleaned for? I'm good with it. I know where my stuff's at. Like I'm good. We ain't got no roaches or things growing. Now if that happens, all right, bet I'll get on the clean game. But right now, it's just me and my mess, bro, and I'm good with it. I know where all my things are. My mama was not good with it. You better pick your room. I mean, it would always be on me. You know what's wild though? Her room was messy, bro. I'm talking like the twister had done busted off in my mama's room. And it was the most hypocritical thing in the world for her to be telling me, you got to keep that room clean. But I'm like, what you, girl, like yours is dirtier than mine. Quit playing. Like, I be knowing. I've been seeing it. You don't got no door there. Like, I know. Y'all, we was broke. We couldn't afford doors. So it was messy. Listen, but maybe some of y'all it's not that. Some of y'all, it's like, okay, y'all got a mama that's always like, you need to get out in the air, get out in the sun, or your daddy or your grandma, whoever. You got somebody in your life out here telling you, 60 minutes of play, go play. Meanwhile, Saturday roll around, they in their robe watching soap operas, like, you be knowing, like, quit playing. I need to go outside. I ain't seen you outside since you took me to school. Like, you only be outside if you're going to your car and back. Like, quit playing. Like, do as I say, not as I do, though. Except, like, you don't do it. So really hard for me to walk it. I'll give you one more because I just kind of on the flow. Anybody got parents who make you eat veggies? But they don't eat veggies? You gonna be a growing boy, growing girl, gotta be healthy. Like, you better eat some veggies too then. Like, what, I'm just supposed to suffer and you gonna watch me just because you older? You know they nasty. I know they nasty. They mama know it's nasty. Everybody know it's not a good time. Like, we ain't just got lines of people out here snapping off some fresh broccoli. Like, I don't want none, right? But your mama be like, you better eat some. Do as I say, not as I do. There's almost nothing in life more frustrating than having somebody try to tell you to do something, knowing dang good and well because they aren't going to do it themselves. Here's the thing. The truth in life is that actions will always mean more than words. And we can act like it's not true, it's just facts. Like, you can tell somebody you love them all you want, but every time you say I love them, you smack them, it don't feel like love. Like, I have to tell you, I got a busted lip, like, I don't like being around you, it don't feel like love, right? But like, I said, no, actions speak so much more than words. Here's the most incredible thing about Jesus, is he does not subscribe to do as I say, not as I do theology. So you see, Jesus does not ask you to do a thing. He himself did not first do. Because Scripture says we love because he first loved us. He is the initiator of all the beautiful, all the good things inside our lives. Here's the thing. John chapter 13, verse 34 says this. I give you a new command, to love one another just as I have loved you. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another. Now, I know we're a few weeks removed from Easter, but I just want to give you a quick highlight reel on what makes Jesus a little unique. Our God, our Savior, for those in the room who said yes to Jesus, for those of the rest of you who are curious about him, we believe Jesus did no wrong thing, sinless. At every moment he could choose wrong, he chose right. When he could choose bad, he chose good. Like, Jesus spent his life living for other people. I mean, he was the great social activist. Like, Jesus was always encountering people and leaving them better than when he found them. Like, Jesus just did not do anything to cross nobody. And our whole picture of our faith is really the idea that Jesus crawled up on one of these 2,000 years ago. And in this one moment carried all the baggage, all the sin, all the hurt, all the pain, all the things you're over here carrying on your own that you ain't strong enough to carry. In one beautiful moment, Jesus crawled up on the cross. He paid for it all. He died a death he did not deserve. He came to love and lead and help people, and they chose to kill him. He brought good and hope and life, and the response was death. Like, no one in history has ever deserved what Jesus does. Like no one has ever done as much good and received so much bad as Jesus did. It just didn't make sense. However, he did it anyways. He did. He crawled up on the cross. He carried our sin. He carried your sin. He carried my sin for you and me. And here's the craziest thing. He didn't deserve it. Why did he do it? So that he could forgive. One person in history has the right to choose to not forgive you, has the right to choose to not forgive people, is Jesus. Jesus is the only person who is actually perfect enough to do no wrong to no one. If anyone has a right to not forgive those who hurt him, it is Jesus. And Jesus' response is to forgive. So in John chapter 13, when Jesus says, love one another as I have loved you, forgive people the way I forgave you. Last week you read the passage in Matthew that it says, if you don't forgive others, then I can't forgive you. That scripture sucks. It is rough. especially if you've lived enough life to have been hurt before. It is not a good ride. But the only person who has the authority to actually say that to you and me is the one who didn't deserve it and chose to forgive anyways. And if he chose to forgive, then my friends, it is also our job to forgive. Jesus gets to tell us that because he did it too. He didn't look at you and I and say, no, do as I say, not as I do. No, he paid your death, my death, everyone else's death, their sin, their punishment, so you and I would not have to. He chose to forgive. Cool, bro. How though? I don't know where you're at, but I know, like I told y'all last week, dude, this is the sermon of my life. Like this is the one I wrestle with the most, because this is the one that I bob in and out of all the time. I'm walking God with. Like, dude, it is hard to forgive people when you've been through some things. Like, it's not a good ride. So it's cool. All right, bet Jesus can tell me to do it. How though? Like, how do I actually get to that side of things? I'm happy y'all asked, because we're going to talk about it. Here's the first thing. I think there's essentially three things that get in the way of forgiving other people, right? And like, I'm going to be real clear. There's a billion. Like, there's so many reasons not to forgive people. Like, I can't list them all, but I'm going to give you the three ones that I have wrestled with the most, that I see most common in life, and that I think cover the vast majority of them. Here's the first one. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Now, I know reconciliation is a big word. So here's what reconciliation means. In short, you get to go back to where we were. And that's one of the great issues with forgiveness, man, is because when we go to try to forgive somebody, it feels often that they're supposed to get the exact same access they had before. Well, I forgive you. Well, that must mean nothing matters anymore. We don't have to change any boundaries. We don't have to do anything different. If I forgive you, then you got to get the same access. Woo! No. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. You aren't forgiving them so they can get the exact same access. You are forgiving them so you don't carry this crap around with you the rest of your life. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Like for me, if you were here last week, you heard the story about my grandma abandoned me when my mom got her fourth DUI and sent me into state's custody for 9 months. That is rough. And like, it wasn't just that moment. Like, my grandma consistently created pain and frustration and hurt for me all throughout my life. Like, I could not get around my grandma early on this journey of trying to process forgiveness, because you know what would happen? I would do this move right here. Who's she talking to? I ain't my mama. I ain't built like these fools. I will roll you. I will say it all right here at lunch. I wish you would say one more thing to me, Grandma. And like, I've been out here working, grinding, trying to let some crap go, trying to get healthy, trying to do work on me. And then sure enough, man, you show up to Thanksgiving and the people who created the launch codes to the nuke in your life, they just be slamming buttons. And you find yourself out here just picking all the baggage right back up. No, I couldn't forgive my grandma and be around my grandma. Why? Because every time I get back, I was setting myself up to get hurt all over again. No. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Forgiveness is saying, all right, I'm not going to let you weigh me down no more. And sometimes the pain you feel, what it does to you, you can't be around for a window of time. I stopped going to Thanksgivings. I stopped going to 4th of Julys. I stopped being around them. Not because I wanted bad, but because I knew every time I get around, I'd be right back where I was. Listen, you can forgive somebody and not be their friend. You can forgive somebody and not be in a relationship with them. You can forgive somebody and not need to respond to every single text message and read every DM they send. You can forgive somebody and block them. I'm just going to tell you. Why? Because what you don't need is more opportunities to be offended and pick up baggage that God asked you to lay down. No, I'm not doing that no more. No, you can forgive and set boundaries. Here's what I want to say for you today. Jesus isn't asking you to let people hurt you. He is saying, don't hurt yourself. He's not saying get back in the environment that hurts you. And again, like I said last week, if you are in an unsafe environment, do not leave today without letting one of us know, because we want to make sure that you are safe, that you are okay, that you are in a position that is okay for your body, your spirit, your mind, your soul. We want to walk with you through that journey. Jesus is not saying you invite the person who's been cheating on you back to your life. No. That's not what he's saying. He's just saying don't carry it with you. Stop drinking poison. Stop weighing yourself down. No. I'm not saying let that person back in the story. I'm saying you just don't let it kill you. Unforgiveness is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It never works, and it only hurts you. Forgiveness is to your advantage. Forgiveness is to your advantage. Here's the second thing that usually happens with us when we're kind of processing the idea of unforgiveness. The second thing is, how do you forgive people that don't deserve it? Man, this one's real. Like some sermons we preach and we're walking with you through it. And like, I'm going to just be real with you. This one right here, this one crosses me. How do you forgive people that don't deserve it? They don't deserve my forgiveness. They don't deserve grace. They don't deserve mercy. If you knew, you wouldn't tell me. No, but Jesus does, and he is telling you. So now what? What do we do? It's real. Like for me, like how do I forgive my bio dad who from birth to 7 years old physically, verbally abused me, my brothers, my mom, almost daily? Like, how do you forgive that? How do I let go of that? How do you forgive your mom? Like for me, who is like essentially the author of almost every insecurity in my life. Like if something in me is broken, there's a really good chance it's from my mom. Like I have Tourette's. I wasn't born with Tourette's. Trauma induced Tourette's on me. Y'all be hearing me, no, I ain't from a different country. I just got messy stories in history. You know what I'm saying? I got baggage I'm trying to give to Jesus. And the byproduct of that is I got a click that I can't shake. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real. But how do you forgive somebody? Because it's not just, I remember what it was. I have a daily reminder that you broke me. You don't deserve my forgiveness. How do I forgive my grandma? I'm a 16-year-old kid with nowhere to go. And I'm too messy for you. So you just kick me off to the wilderness and I lose everything and everyone in my life. How do you forgive someone like that? Well, Luke chapter 6, verse 37 to 38 says something really, really convicting. In chapter 37, he's like this: do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Now check this. For the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Here's the danger of deciding people this side of heaven do not deserve forgiveness, is your measure becomes your metric. Your measure becomes your metric. What you deem is the criteria people should be judged by is going to inverse itself on you and be the very thing that's used to judge you. And here's the truth. I do not want Jesus being as hard a grader on my life as I am on the people who make me upset. I do not want Jesus getting in the weeds of me and checking off every box that I'm not perfect in because I'm so acutely aware of all the things that all these other people in my life failed me at. I do not want that same criteria being applied to my life. Yet that's exactly what Luke is saying, is that your measure becomes your metric. It feels real good to not forgive somebody until you need some. It feels real good not to give grace until you need some. It feels real good to be like, no, I'm going to keep it to me until you need somebody's help. It's a dangerous ball game to be out here doling out who does and does not deserve forgiveness, because that same metric gets applied to you. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not want to live my life with an eternal scoreboard where we're checking off who did good enough and who didn't. It's a game that doesn't ever end the way you want. You do not want your life being a scoreboard system. How do I forgive them? Well, because I know without a doubt I'm going to need forgiveness. No, I understand. I get it. Like what they did, I'm not arguing the pain. I'm not arguing how bad it was. I am just telling you that the same blood that covers this much sin covers this much sin. The same God that died for your sin died for their sin. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean it should have happened, but it does mean that you can't live your life carrying this junk around your neck and trying to change the world and be the person God's called you to be. You don't want that measure. Your measure becomes your metric. We forgive because it's to our advantage. Because when we can let stuff go, then God, He's able to let our stuff go. He's able to forgive our stuff. If we give out grace, what you will find is there is no shortage of people who will want to give you grace. What you give, you will receive. Here's the third one that's really difficult. Because this, for me, the hardest one, I think I would argue that this is probably the hardest one of all of them. And that is, well, if I forgive them, then they get away with it. Who's going to remember my pain? Who's going to right the wrong? If I forgive them, then it didn't happen. If I forgive them, then it's not real. If I forgive them, then the injustice that was done never goes accounted for. I can't forgive them because it needs to be righted. The wrong done to me needs to be righted. The money you said you'd pay me back that you didn't pay me, I need it back. The time you said you'd show up and you didn't, then I'm going to make sure I don't show up for you. Like, you don't get to leave me. And I forget that. No, there needs to be a payment for it. I get it, man. I get how hard that is. I get how difficult that is. Like, for me, the idea of forgiving my mom, my dad, my grandma, and anyone else for that matter, but those are the three we're talking about, so we'll just keep talking about them. Like, the idea that I forgive them would always feel like if they did it, then they got away with it. How's it working for you? How's it working, you keeping it to you? How's it working it for you, wrapping it around you? How's it working for you not forgiving them? Now, because I don't know about you, but I do know for me, I was never happier. I never had more peace. I never felt more full of joy. My hurt didn't go away. I would sit here, spend so much of my life just being bitter and angry and unforgiving and just wrapped up in how much I was hurt by all of these people. And I'm a 22, 23, 24, 26-year-old man, and I'm over here seething. They might be sipping mojitos on a beach somewhere. They don't care. My unforgiveness isn't changing their life one bit, but it is killing me. It is making it hard for me to be who I'm supposed to be. And here's what I would say to you. Jesus sees you. Like, I cannot articulate this enough for you. When you are in the middle of the worst moments of your life, you are never alone. You are never by yourself. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 says, "The Lord is near the brokenhearted, and he saves those who are crushed in spirit." He is close to you. As angry as you are, he is more. As sad as you are, he is more. As hurt as you are, he is more. Like, he is with you. He feels every moment of it. There's this beautiful book, The Chronicles of Narnia, and there's this moment where Aslan is talking to this boy. Aslan represents Jesus in this book, and this boy goes off and his mom is dying. And he's talking to Aslan about her death, and he says when he looks in Aslan's eyes, he seems more sad than I am. When you come to Jesus with your pain, he's crying too. He's so sad too. It didn't go like he wanted. He didn't want your life to play that way. He did not want the bad things to come. To be clear, I don't care what you heard before you got here tonight. God does not send bad to you. God does not hurt you. He does not harm you. It is not in his plan for your life bad things to happen, but he is so good that he will flip them. But when you are in the middle of the pain that a fallen world and people full of sin create for you, you are never alone. But if I'm going to be honest with you, that doesn't comfort me. I mean, it does in the moment. But when I wake up tomorrow morning and I remember I was hurt again, I still want justice. I love that you would hug me, Jesus. But I need justice. I need help. And here's what I would say to you. God is not just a God of comfort, but he is a God of justice. Here's what Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22 says. Do not say, I'll pay you back for this wrong. Wait for the Lord, and he will avenge you. Romans 12:19 says, friends, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave room for God's wrath. Because it is written, vengeance belongs to me. I will repay, says the Lord. Listen, God is a God of justice. And sometimes the pains are real. But what you will find in this life is sin always comes at a cost. Hurting people always comes at a cost. You cannot spend your life hurting people, treating people poorly, and there's not a cost for it. And I can see it. When I was 25 years old, my dad tried to come back into my life. He saw some sermons of me preaching, and he wanted to go get some lunch. I hadn't seen this man since I was 7 years old. And I mean, from 7 to 25, I had told myself, when I see him, I'm going to kill him. Now, y'all hear that, and it's hyperbole. I meant it. I was raised different. I went through a lot of crap. I meant every word. He was not going to leave that room breathing. I had set on that from 7 to 25. I'm walking to Lopez with every intention of wrecking this man. And I opened the door and I saw him sitting across the table, and I could see it. That man wasn't sipping mojitos. He was going through hell. He had diabetes. He was massively overweight. He looked like he was dying, had an oxygen mask on his face. And I could see what a lifetime of robbing and hurting and treating people poorly did to him. It was on his face. It was in his speech. It was in his story. It didn't go unseen. No, there was a cost for how he treated people. I can see it with my mom. 52 years of relapsing and addictions and drinking and not taking care of her body. I can see it in her appearance. I can see it in her face. She's got some sicknesses. I can see the cost of what you not doing good for you did. What you hurting me did. I can see the cost of all of the pain you were causing myself, you, and everyone around you. I can see it. There was a cost. It cost her. My grandma, last Thanksgiving, I come to my grandma's house, I swing by, I only spend an hour on my grandma because I ain't trying to pick that baggage back up. And you know what my grandma says? I wish I wasn't alone. She's sitting at her table crying because she has no family left. Because she has been mean and vicious and treated people poorly her whole life, and she was sitting at that table alone. No, please hear me. Wrong does not go unhandled. People don't hurt and just get away with it. You know what's wild though? Is vengeance doesn't hit the way you think it will. If you'd asked me at 16, I wanted it all paid back. All the injustice. I wanted them to feel what I felt. I wanted them to hurt like I hurt. You know how hard it is to look at your mom and see that her body isn't holding up anymore because of the wages, because of the cost. I saw my dad and I didn't want to kill him anymore. I wanted to cry for him because I could see it. I could see what it did to him. I'm listening to my grandma and I'm like, you've got this mess. We got a lot of people in our family and you are by yourself. No, it doesn't feel the way you think it is. Getting the right righted never hits the way you expect it to hit, which is why God says vengeance is mine, because you can't handle it. You can't handle setting things right. You aren't built for that. You aren't supposed to do that. It never lands the way you think it's going to land. We don't forgive people. When we don't forgive them, when we hold things against them, you know what the scariest part of that realization is? Is they'll become your mirror. When you don't forgive people, they can become a mirror. The scariest thing about you not letting this stuff go, the scariest thing about you not forgiving people is their reality will be yours. I think the scariest thing in the world for me is realizing that there's a world in which I am my dad. There's a world in which I become my mom. There's a world in which I act like my grandma. No, all of the insecurities, all of their weaknesses, epigenetics, you can study it. It trickles down to you. And if you don't let this stuff go, if you don't forgive, then you are going to wake up one morning in a snap and you're going to be the very people that hurt you. Why? Because hurt people hurt people. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. It's to your advantage, because when you can come to Jesus and you can lay it all down and you can forgive them and you can let it go, you can let them go, then you can finally be the new creation He's called you to be, because you can let what was die and you can step in to what is. I've got a tattoo on my arm. And it says that am is greater than was. Because every single day I need to remind myself, I'm not who I was. I'm not the pain I felt. I'm not what I went through. I am a new creation. When I said yes to Jesus and I laid the baggage at his feet, he made me new. So I don't have to be my daddy. I don't have to be my mama. I don't have to be my grandma. I don't have to be anything other than exactly who God called me to be. Why? Because forgiveness changes everything. It sets me free. It sets you free. It sets them free. No, you have a hard time forgiving people because you think it's for them. No. Please not mistake what I'm saying is for you. It's to your advantage. You are a better you when you can let it go. You are lighter, you are freer, and you are more full of love, hope, joy, all the fruits of the Spirit. When you can let it go and you can let them go, then you can be you. And you are beautiful. And you are loved, and you are called, and you are full of purpose. And letting what was hold you back from who God is calling you to be is the saddest way to spend a life. Here's the other thing though. What's crazy about forgiveness is God will work things out. See, Romans 8:28 says that, I'll read it to you. Romans 8:28 says, "For we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purposes." Now, vengeance doesn't hit the way you think it will. And I'm not forgiving my mom, my dad, my grandma, for anyone else for that matter, for anything other than it is what's best for the life God's called me to live. But here's what's crazy. When you start letting things go, it cuts God loose. Now, I want to be clear with you. Everything doesn't work out perfect. But when you forgive, the unimaginable can happen. You see, while there are consequences to my parents' body, my dad right now, that man is serving in church in Texas. Woo! The hands he was putting on me and my brothers and my mom are now used to heal other people. Woo, Jesus. No, that might sound hard for you, but I'm telling you, I've been working this thing out for a while now, and at 30 years old, I can look back and I can see, it is so worth it. I didn't want to carry the weight of him no more, and now not only is he free, but he's using his story to help other dads not suck. He's helping his story to help other people not be bad. No, there are people today that are different because I got out of the way. I stopped trying to lay my pain, my hurt on them, and I let God get to work. Here's the crazy thing. My grandma, Jesus, most critical person I ever met in my life. Sitting at Thanksgiving all by herself, and we had a conversation on soundtracks that night. And I've had a text from my grandma almost weekly about the soundtrack she's working through, about her trying to rewrite how she sees her family, about her trying to rewrite how she talks about people. Listen, my grandma couldn't hear nothing, and she's out here working on her. Why? Because God can do anything. He can do anything. If he can raise from the dead, I promise you, he can heal your soul, he can heal your mama, he can heal everyone that hurt you. Why? Because he can work all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. My mom, she's still wrestling, but this Sunday, she's going to be in this room, and she's going to watch my brother get baptized, and she's going to watch my son get baptized. Two generations, different. Why? Because when you let it go, then it can die there. And you can step into what is. And when you step into what is, it gives God room to do anything. At 16 years old, I would have never in a million years thought that I'd be a pastor in church, that I'd be baptizing my son in church, and my brother be getting baptized, and my dad be serving, that my grandma would be working on her, that my mom would be trying to get in this room. See, like I would have never thought it. But at 16, I didn't know what I know now. What I know now is forgiveness ain't for them, it's for me. Forgiveness is for you. It's to your advantage. Here's the problem. You got to decide to let it go, though. So to wrap this thing up, it starts here. It starts with him, and then it will flow to them. If right now you're here, it is so okay. Stay here. Keep coming to Jesus. Keep bringing the pain to him. Keep working on it. And then you'll look back and you'll realize, man, it's been weeks since I had to come back to him with it. Man, it's been a year since the last time I had to ask for him to help me let that go. Then you can start to shift and you can start having a conversation with them. So wherever you're at today, my challenge to you is open yourself up to the idea that forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. And as wrong as it feels sometimes and as backwards as it may seem, it is the greatest thing you could ever do with your life, is to let it go and bring it to him, because he will make you brand new. He will set you free, and your life won't be the only one that's different, but your friends, your family, the people around you, they will change, because you will be lighter and freer and to be who you are. Scripture says if we'll lift Jesus up, he'll draw all men to himself. If you'll just focus on being the you God's called you to be, he'll handle all this. Let's pray.